Part 22. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 211. Chapter 211. Poor third brother. Poor Tang Xingai regretted countless times that he had caused a big trouble for himself, so he invited teacher Qian to his home to tutor him. At first, she was obviously here to cover for him, but now she is the one who is covering for her. Why? He wants to be so pitiful, he doesn't want to study, he wants to go out and play, and he wants to go to the ancient town with his second brother. It must be the second sister-in-law. She must have sent teacher Qian to hold him back because she didn't want him to follow him and become a light bulb. Qian Yuman came to Tang Yu's room and found him taking a shower in the bathroom. She immediately sneaked in like a thief and stole everything that could be covered by his bathrobe and towel. She was lying on the bed struttingly, waiting for the handsome man to come out of the bath and feast her eyes on him. She is such a damnable and charming alternative. Last time she didn't see the handsome man out of the bath, she felt very regretful. This time she would have to succeed in her cunning plan. Thinking about it, Tang Yu will definitely run out to find a towel later, and the situation will naturally go as she wishes. Qian Yuman was lying on the bed looking forward to it, playing with her mobile phone in her hand, deciding to take the perversion to the end. She waited for the man in front of her to appear in front of her, so she took a few photos as a souvenir. Finally hearing the sound of surprise in the bathroom, Qian Yuman jumped up from the bed excitedly, came to the bathroom door, adjusted her angle, and waited for the beautiful man in the bathroom to come out. It was obviously her husband who had seen both what he wanted to see and what he didn't want to see, but he was still a little excited at the moment. The door began to loosen, and slowly it opened, and Tang Yu appeared with Qian Yuman's eager anticipation. As she expected, since the towel had also been taken away, there were still drops of water all over his body, his hair was wet, and his thin bangs were messy in front of his eyes. He has a handsome and upright figure, a figure without any fat, and the muscles on his body are not too big or too small. From his face to his height and body, he is like a gift from God. It is perfect and makes people addicted. It's so handsome, Mr. Tang is so handsome, I finally saw it. Mr. Tang was so handsome that she almost forgot to take photos. Fortunately, she didn't forget her purpose and immediately took 2 photos. As soon as Tang Yu came out of the bathroom, he saw a mysteriously dressed woman. From her dress, he recognized her as his disguised wife. He hadn't seen her for several days, so he came to Tang's house today. Looking at her eyes filled with love, she was staring at him with a nymphomaniac expression, sweeping across his body like a radar. That expression and look almost made his eyes pop out. Just being looked at by his wife made him a little uneasy. Hey, perverted. Seeing his reaction, Qian Yuman took a step back with a slight smile. Pervert, Tang Yu raised his eyebrows. It was obvious that she hid his bathrobe in a perverted way, and secretly took photos of him like a pervert, admiring him openly. He stood there indifferently. Not only did he not feel uncomfortable being looked at by Qian Yuman, he actually shook his buttocks, just like Crayon Shin-chan, almost turning around and shaking his buttocks at her. So dirty. Qian Yuman already had an image of Crayon Shin-chan singing in her mind, but Tang Yu's one was bigger. Tang Yu pushed all his bangs back on his head and approached her with an evil smile. Then I'll let you know what a real pervert is. Seeing him coming to beat him, Qian Yuman screamed and turned around and ran away. She seems to be asking for trouble. It seems that she can't leave safely today. Thinking about it, she is a little excited. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 212. Chapter 212. Being interrupted. Originally I just wanted to watch the beautiful man take a bath, but I didn't expect Mr. Tang to be so intolerant of teasing. At this moment, Tanyuj transformed into a member's grandfather and rushed towards Qian Yuman with a wicked smile. "You're a female pervert, if I don't catch you today, I'll bully you." Qian Yuman ran for her life laughing and begging for mercy. "Acceptor Tang, please let the little girl go. Didn't you say I'm a pervert? I'll show you how perverted I am." How could Tanyuj let it go? He spread his long legs and chased after me. Regardless of whether he had any clothes on, he didn't feel ashamed at all and covered a certain part of his body. Qian Yuman is running for his life. Looking back, she saw him chasing her with no clothes on. Her body trembled and she wanted to scream with inexplicable excitement. Perverted, Qian Yuman smiled and ran for her life, but her feet were not as long as Tanyuj's. There was a 20-centimeter difference between them. She was hugged by Tanyuj within 2 seconds of running. After being caught by Tanyuj, Qian Yuman stretched out her hand to push him. The slippery tentacles weren't they Tanyuj's chest? Tang Yuanwei smiled evilly, moved his left and right chest muscles, and said proudly, "Young Master Tang looks good outside. You should wear something else." Qian Yuman was angry and annoyed. How could he be so shameless? When the two of them got along in San Francisco before, although he was keen on this matter, he had never run around naked like this shamelessly. Tanyuj shook his head, still holding her tightly. "Don't put it on, I'll take it off after a while anyway." There is something in Tanyuj's words that already hints at his meaning. Tanyuj, who was all wet, hugged Qian Yuman and made her clothes a little wet. He smiled evilly. "Teacher Mei, you see your clothes are all wet. Why don't I help you change into clean clothes?" As he spoke, his claws reached to the hem of her t-shirt to take off. She quickly stretched out her hand to stop this old pervert. Unexpectedly, teasing him turned into teasing her. The two of them pushed each other to hide, but in the end he succeeded. Tanyuj easily pulled off the mask on her face and threw it aside. He leaned over and kissed the red lips that had not been kissed for a long time. Qian Yuman pushed him slightly and wanted to talk to him, but his mouth refused to let go, frantically sucking in the fragrance from her mouth. The temperature between the two of them continued to rise, and when it was about to get out of control, there was a knock on the door. "Yuj, Qi Donghiyuking is here. Grandma asks you to come to the living room to receive her." Lu Rong, the hostess of the Tang family, called. Tanyuj simply ignored her and continued to kiss the woman in his arms. He had been very keen on this since he had tasted the forbidden fruit and gained some enlightenment. During this period of time, they hugged each other several times, but never kissed once, and never did anything more serious. They had long wanted to be gentle with their wives, and they wanted to die. Finally, I was in progress at this moment, but I was interrupted again. "Yuj, are you in the room?" Lu Rong called again from outside, reaching out and knocking on the door gently. Tanyuj frowned slightly, unhappy that Lu Rong kept calling outside. After several calls, no one answered him, so he retreated voluntarily. He could only pretend not to hear. Tanyuj didn't care that someone was at the door, but Qian Yuman did. She reached out and pushed him gently. "Mr. Tang," she pointed in the direction of the door, indicating that someone outside was calling him to open the door. "Let's continue, she won't come into my room." Tanyuj leaned over and continued to kiss. He didn't want to talk to the people outside the door and just hugged and kissed his wife, enjoying the happiness of getting along with each other. "Thank you, my dear concubines, for the mooncakes. Mom. There are so many rewards today, so happy. I would like to wish all my beloved concubines a happy Mid-Autumn Festival. The Mid-Autumn Festival is also my mother's birthday, so I want to celebrate it." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the world. Chapter 213. Chapter 213. Wait until I come back to continue. Qian Yuman didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She didn't want to be disturbed. She also knew that Lu Rong would not barge in, but when she heard her calling outside the door, she became confused. "That's enough," Qian Yuman said softly and patted the back of the hand holding her waist. Tang Yuj reluctantly let go of his wife's arms, watched her put on her clothes, put the mask on her face back on, and then walked to the cabinet to hide herself. Nuan Zionjiao left his arms, making him feel lost. He reluctantly put on his bathrobe and opened the door. "I'll be there in a moment." Seeing Tang Yuj's wet hair, Lu Rong smiled and nodded. "I'll receive them on your behalf first, and come over after you get dressed." Tang Yuj nodded indifferently. Lu Rong was still standing at the door without leaving, so he closed the door without being polite at all. Tang Yuj turned back to the room, and Qian Yuman walked out with a smile. She saw him pouting unhappily, crossing his hands on his chest, and looking like he had been robbed of candy, really like a child. "What are you doing standing there?" Still not wearing clothes, Qian Yuman urged with a smile, her eyes almost slitted from laughter. Tang Yuj was unmoved and opened his arms directly, laughing. "Help me get dressed." Qian Yuman immediately turned around and went to the closet to choose clothes for Mr. Tang. She used to help him get dressed in San Francisco. This time she chose an ordinary black suit. Qian Yuman was a little selfish. After meeting Tang Yuj again, every time she saw him dressed fashionably and handsomely, he would attract everyone's attention wherever he went. Countless prying eyes would fall on the man in front of her, which made her extremely unhappy. "The man in front of me is so eye-catching, and his fashionable clothes make more girls like him." She actually preferred the time in San Francisco. Being with him wouldn't attract too many girls' attention. When she was at home, she could dress up as she pleased. She was the only one to see how handsome he was. Handing out the underwear for him to wear, Tang Yuj shook his head. "I'm just a baby now and can't put on clothes." Qian Yuman was speechless. "Return the baby? Isn't it childish? It's becoming more and more shameless." "Mr. Tang." The sugar baby was unmoved, just raised one foot and waited for her to help put it on. His bathrobe has been taken off and thrown aside, like a newborn baby. Seeing that he didn't move, Qian Yuman had no choice but to help the sugar baby get dressed. The thing that made her blush the most was the one she slowly pulled up from the ankle. At the same time, he told her that he had not been relieved, that he was suffering, and was waiting for her to take care of him. She moved her eyes away and helped him put on his clothes and pants with a calm expression, all in one movement. It's just the process of getting dressed, and it's inevitable that the guy who calls himself a baby will steal the show and eat a lot of tofu. The ambiguous atmosphere has been lingering around them. If Chairman Chi and his daughter weren't waiting downstairs, they might have given up getting dressed at any time and happily made love together. Putting on the tie, everything is perfect. Mr. Tang is still extremely handsome. Tang Yuj gently held her in his arms and whispered in her ear. "Wait me back." "Go quickly." Qian Yuman had a faint smile on her face. Tang Yuj did not let go of her waist immediately. He smiled evilly and gently bit her earrings. "Wait until I come back to continue what I just left unfinished." After saying this, she let her go to meet Chairman Chi and the others. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 214. Chapter 214 Mid-Autumn Festival Extra 1. The little blonde head was shaking, and his face was stained with a lot of white powder, and his delicate and beautiful little face was filled with a happy smile. His hands were busy working, and the tall man standing aside had a cold face, but his eyes were tender and tender as he watched the beloved woman busy. "Ling-er, what kind of stuffing are you making?" He seemed to have seen her adding mustard just now. Was this to commit murder? A naughty smile appeared on his slightly immature face, pointing at the mooncakes that were still being made. "Keep your voice down, don't let others hear you." Lan Tianlu's mouth twitched slightly. Seeing her adding mustard, chili pepper, and toothpaste to the stuffing, his stomach hurt. "Sister-in-law," a loud tenor sounded, and Tanyuj swept over like a strong wind. When he saw the half-finished mooncake in Xiao Ling's hand, his face turned dark. "Xiao Tian, you don't know how to take good care of your wife, get out quickly, get out quickly." Tanyuj chased the kitchen destroyer with a dark face. The last time Xiao Ling came to his house, he didn't know her destructive ability, so she turned a happy party into a fire day and burned down his kitchen, which hurt him for a long time. "It's been a while since I've had anything to eat like my wife's cooking." During the Mid-Autumn Festival, he invited 4 friends to bring their families to his house for a barbecue. The mooncakes made by his wife could not be ruined by Xiao Ling, who was a terrible cook and accidentally burned down the kitchen. Xiao Ling pouted dissatisfiedly and argued with Tanyuj. "What's wrong? What's wrong? You're driving me away. Don't you believe in my cooking skills?" "My cooking skills have improved a lot, don't hinder the growth of my cooking skills," Xiao Ling cheered angrily. Face, ready to fight with Tanyuj at any time to defend his talent in cooking. Tanyuj looked at his friend with a headache on his face. "You don't care about your wife?" Xiao Ling looked at her husband with wide eyes. Lan Tianlu had a faint smile on his cold face. "Old Tang, isn't it just a kitchen? My wife burned down your kitchen, so I can renovate it for you to make it more luxurious and high-end." Looking back at the little wife whose face turned from sunny to cloudy tenderly, he reached out his hand and gently wiped the powder from her face. "You go on, I'll help you from the side." Tanyuj looked at Lan Tianlu with a ghostly look on his face. He was so doting on his wife that he would sacrifice his brothers and make bad friends by mistake. "Uncle Lan is the best and the most powerful." Seeing Tanyuj's depressed look, Xiao Ling laughed happily and stuck out her tongue at Tanyuj, feeling very proud. When Qian Yuman came back from the toilet, she saw Tanyuj shrugging his shoulders and covering his face in sadness, and saw her half-finished mooncake being tortured in Xiao Ling's hands. As soon as Tanyuj saw Qian Yuman coming, he immediately ran to complain. "Honey, why did you invite this couple to come to our house to eat mooncakes and barbecue? The kitchen is about to be burned down. Next time, please don't call this group of people who work together to bully me to come to our house for dinner." Qian Yuman chuckled and moved closer to Xiao Ling to look at the mooncake she had squeezed into a piece that looked like shit. "Xiao Ling, do it slowly, my senior sister will teach you." Then I threw it to my husband, who looked at me as if I was still afraid that she would burn down the kitchen again. Tanyuj was crying bitterly, and his wife was standing there and messing around with Xiao Ling. "If the kitchen burns down, pity him. I won't be able to eat meals cooked by my wife for a long time in the future. He doesn't want it." But she couldn't fight the 3 of them by herself, and her wife didn't help her either. Mid-Autumn Festival is a good day for family reunion. I would like to wish my beloved wife and family a happy, healthy, and long life. This is a side story, different from the main text, just about some interesting things about the Mid-Autumn Festival. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 215. Chapter 215 Mid-Autumn Festival Extra 2. Tanyuj protested, chirping at the side like a little sparrow, watching Xiao Ling eagerly, fearing that she would set the kitchen on fire again. There was a lot of noise in the kitchen, and 2 handsome men arrived. One of them was so handsome that he hardly looked like a mortal man. He walked in with Ji-fan, holding 2 bottles of wine in his hand. "Xiaojie, we are here, and we have brought wine." Ji-fan walked in with a smile. When he saw the 2 sisters-in-law busy in the kitchen, he immediately rushed over to hug them enthusiastically. Tanyuj saw that his wife was about to be hugged, and immediately took Qian Yuman into his arms and stared at him warningly. Ji-fan's ears were already held by the handsome man, and he pulled him down behind him and said with a gentle smile, "I'll take good care of it." Then he handed over 2 bottles of wine. "This is a mid-autumn festival gift." Tanyuj was so happy when he saw the wine. This must have been taken from Xiaojiji Winery. They are actually the 1945 Chateau Mouton Winery red wine and the 1787 Chateau Dijon white wine. "You are so generous, sister-in-law, because you know my wife likes this." Tanyuj handed the treasure to Qian Yuman to see. Qian Yuman, a little drunkard, his eyes lit up when he saw it, and he wanted to immediately drop the mooncake in his hand and open the bottle to drink. 2 figures walked in. Chang Junyi saw Ji-fan coming and smiled gently. "Xiaoji, you came too late. We are almost done." A pretty girl next to her said with a smile. "Yes. The grill and everything are set up outside, and the food and snacks are ready. Just wait for you two to arrive and start eating." Seeing that everyone was here, Qian Yuman made the mooncakes faster. When he took out the baking tray, he took the mooncakes made by Xiaoling and stuffed them into the oven. Mooncakes are being baked here, and they are having a barbecue outside. It was a rare occasion for the 4 friends to get together for a meal, and laughter were indispensable. A bottle of the wine Ji-fan brought was also opened, and they were eaten with barbecue. Only rich people like them would be so extravagant to drink expensive wine and eat barbecue. If Qian Yuman, who loves wine as much as his life, had not stopped him, both bottles of wine might have been opened. At the end of the dinner, everyone took away a box of mooncakes, all of which were handmade by Qian Yuman. Knowing that Qian Yuman was good at cooking, everyone happily took them back to taste. Also taking away were a bunch of mooncakes made by Xiaoling. There were exactly 4, 1 for each person. Only one of them was a normal mooncake, and the filling was Qian Yuman. It's just made with seasonings in it. Among the 4 families, only the Chang Junyi family, who did not know that Xiaoling made the mooncakes, wondered why Qian Yuman made a strange mooncake. When he ate it, he couldn't help but admire it. "This mooncake tastes really weird. It tastes like toothpaste. I don't know what Manman added in it." Tanyuj knew who made the mooncakes. As soon as Xiaoling walked away, he threw them into the trash can. Ji-fan's wife ate it. When the mooncake with chili pepper entered her mouth, she was shocked. "The mooncakes made by Manman are so special and delicious. Did you know that I love spicy food and made them specially for me?" Ji-fan looked at his wife with a strange look on his face, shook his head and refused to try it. "You can eat the dark food by yourself, but I won't eat it." As for Xiaoling's house, the mooncake with mustard was placed on her side without her knowledge, and she excitedly handed the mooncake to Lan Tianlu's mouth. "Lu, let's eat and see if we're lucky and bring back normal mooncakes." Lan Tianlu looked reluctant. Finally, under Xiaoling's expectant gaze, he opened his mouth and took a bite. He rolled his eyes and almost fainted. What a bad luck, the worst and most deadly thing is coming to him. Can he refuse to eat it? It tastes too bad. "Ling are you trying to punish others or your own husband?" Seeing Lan Tianlu's reaction, Xiaoling immediately knew what the mooncake tasted like and threw it into the trash can with a look of disgust. "Little white mouse, I know you are in pain. I will help you choose a good one next time. You are not lucky this time." Lan Tianlu burst into tears and looked at his wife with a sad face. "Is there a next time? Let him die." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 216. Chapter 216 I don't want to break the engagement 1. Qian Yuman looked at the man who left the room dumbfounded and came back to continue. "What's there to continue? but she likes it. Chairman Chi and his daughter had been waiting in the living room for a while. Chairman Chi had been left on a deserted island for 2 days and 2 nights a few days ago, and his expression had not been very good. He was indifferent to the Tang family's repeated reminders to come over to discuss matters. Put off again and again. Chi Yuking also urged her father to come over quickly. The Chi family thought they wanted to discuss the wedding, but little did they know that Tang Yuj and others wanted to terminate the engagement. At this moment, Chi Yuking lowered her head shyly, being a quiet little daughter-in-law, looking forward to it in her heart, looking at the door from time to time. Why hasn't brother you come yet? Not long after Grandma Tang came and sat down, Tang Yuj arrived belatedly. His appearance instantly attracted everyone's attention. He is like an elegant cheetah, with slender legs walking briskly. He is elegant, noble, and charming, like a symbol of nobility in the world. Her beautiful eyes lightly scanned the people in the living room, with a cynical smile on her face. Chi Yuking, who had been looking forward to Tang Yuj for a long time, had her heart beating rapidly and was shocked by Tang Yuj. Chairman Chi is actually not particularly satisfied with his future son-in-law. In his view, Tang Yuj is idle, doesn't like things in shopping malls, and doesn't know how to make progress in various activities every day. What he likes more is Tang Feishan, who is mature, down-to-earth and kind to others. The important thing is that he has taken over the Tang dynasty group at a young age and the operation is sound and impressive. Although it has not pushed the Tang dynasty group to a higher level, it is enough to maintain the status quo. With Tang dynasty there is no need to climb up the group's status. He also had to admit that Tang Yuj was better than ordinary people in one thing, that is, he had a good skin and was born in a noble family, so he was naturally liked by women. His precious daughter liked Tang Yuj but not Tang Lao'er, so she wanted to marry him. He loved his daughter but couldn't resist her. He always kept a wait-and-see attitude to see if Tang Yuj would do anything, so the wedding was postponed until the wedding was completed. After all, although he was idle, he was not a deadwood, but a smart man with a high IQ. When Chi Yuking saw Tang Yuj, she immediately transformed into a little fan, looked at him with admiration, and trotted to his side to hold his arm. "Brother Yu, I miss you so much," Chi Yuking said shyly, holding Tang Yuj's arm tightly and looking at him affectionately. Tang Yuj's expression didn't change at all, he just withdrew his hand from her arms without any trace. "Uncle Chi, Ching Ching, you are finally here. I have been waiting for you for a long time, and I hope you will come early every day." The smile on Tang Yuj's face was warm and sincere, and his expectations were clearly expressed on his face during the words. Chi Yuking felt happy when she heard Tang Yuj's words. She lowered her head shyly, her face instantly turned red into an apple, and she looked strangely beautiful. Chairman Chi and the others may not understand the other meaning of his words, but Grandma Tang clearly understands the meaning of her grandson's words. This guy was eagerly urging her to call them over to break off the engagement every day. Judging from Chi Yuking's expression, it was obvious that he had misunderstood the meaning of his words. At the same time, I feel deeply for the little girl Chi Yuking. I have watched her grow up since she was a child. She has a gentle and sensible personality. She is very satisfied with being her granddaughter-in-law. It happens that the grandson has already married a wife outside. It is better not to divorce and marry again, not to mention whether the Chi family will agree. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 217. Chapter 217. I don't want to break off the engagement too. If the Chi family knew that Tang Yuj had quietly married someone else, they would have been extremely generous. The Tang dynasty family is not afraid of the Chi family. Although the Chi family is a well-known wealthy family in China, it is still far behind the Tang dynasty family. Both parties sat down and inevitably exchanged a lot of polite words. Grandma Tang smiled kindly, and reached out to invite Chi Yuking to sit on the sofa next to her. She immediately walked over to Grandma Tang and sat down obediently. Grandma Tang, Chi Yuking shouted sweetly. Grandma Tang is a serious person, with a often sullen face and rarely a smile on her face. At this moment, because he was very sorry for Chi Yuking, a guilty smile appeared on his face. In Chi Yuking's eyes, it meant something else. In her heart, today was the day to talk about her marriage to Brother Yu. When she saw the always serious Grandma Tang smiling kindly at her, she felt even more happy and she nervously held her folded hands. Grandma Tang took a deep look at her grandson who was sitting lazily, and scolded him in her heart. He refused to say such a difficult thing, and insisted on letting her, an old man, make a bad show. However, she loved her grandson and couldn't resist him. Request. Yu Qing, you must be 24 years old. Yes, I will be 24 in 1 month, Chi Yuking replied shyly. Yuking has become more and more graceful in recent years, and she has reached the age of getting married and having children, Grandma Tang said with something in her words. Chi Yuking just lowered her head more shyly. A girl as beautiful as Yuking must be pursued by many people. Chi Yuking raised her head, shook her head, nodded again, looked at Tang Yuj and swore firmly. There are some, but I rejected them all because Yuking is Brother Yu's fiancé and will not agree to other people's pursuits. For so many years, she only had Tang Yuj in her heart and would not give anyone else a chance. Chairman Chi laughed and said, my daughter has been looking forward to Yuj's return to China. Now that she is back, she is almost ready to get married. Grandma Tang smiled slightly and glared at her grandson again. Looking at the mess you made me, everyone is talking about marriage. Tang Yuj lost something again. Grandma deserved it? What she said was so ambiguous that even he would misunderstand it. Grandma Tang had a slightly melancholy expression on her face and reached out to pat the back of Chi Yuking's hand. It's because we delayed Yu Cheng. It's because Grandma didn't think clearly. A beautiful and intelligent girl like you will inevitably meet some outstanding men who are attracted by her heart. But when you were still young, the future of you and Xiao Yuer was taken away. Tie together. Chi Yuking looked up at Grandma Tang with some confusion, frowning slightly, wondering what Grandma Tang meant. Grandma Tang still sighed with dignity and said, Grandma Tang has watched Yuking grow up since she was a child. She likes you very much, just like her own granddaughter. A smart and beautiful girl like Yuking must find an outstanding boy. Unlike my little Yuer, who does nothing all day long. I don't know how to do things that are beneficial to the family, I just know that eating, drinking, and having fun, marrying him will only delay the future, so Grandma, I want to give Yuking a freedom and find an outstanding boy that I really like, so as not to be continued by my brat. Delay the future. Grandma Tang said it sincerely, everything was for Chi Yuking's sake. She didn't blame Chi Yuking, she blamed her grandson for being incompetent, so he would not continue to delay her. I moved today. After returning from Shanghai at the end of June, I have been sitting at home, eating and waiting to die. Today I finally moved to the bustling city center. I will concentrate on writing articles for some time in the future, and write articles that my concubines will like. My updates have been unstable recently, and I have been scolded a lot, crying blindly. I will never do this again, really, I swear for the 101st time. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 218. Chapter 218 I don't want to break the engagement 3. From beginning to end, he never mentioned that his grandson had actually found a wife outside. The Tang family felt sorry for them. On the contrary, everything they said was for the sake of Chi Yuking, and they had no choice but to make up their minds to break off the engagement with them. Chi Yuking's expression slowly changed from shy to puzzled. Finally, she understood the meaning of Grandma Tang's words. Finally, she was so shocked that she couldn't say anything. The expression on her face was dull. Even so, Her ladylike upbringing did not make her lose her composure. She looked at Grandma Tang with innocent eyes, trying to tell from her expression that she was joking, but all she saw was Grandma Tang's usual serious expression. Grandma Tang is not joking, how could she be joking? Grandma Tang rarely makes jokes, let alone this kind of joke. Chi Yuking's tears instantly fell down her face, she held her arms tightly with both hands, and asked a little excitedly. Grandma Tang, what do you mean by this? Do you want to terminate the engagement? Hey! Don't cry. Grandma Tang feels bad for crying. Grandma knows that you are happy, so she won't cry. You should be happy to finally get rid of my brat. You don't need to cry with joy. Give him some face. He is so embarrassed. Shameful. Grandma Tang looked at her grandson pitifully. Xiao Yuer, look at you, you are already old and you don't do anything serious, don't play outside all day long, how can you get a wife like this? Tang Yu's mouth twitched slightly, and he lowered his head as if he was being scolded by his grandma. In fact, a faint smile had already appeared on the corner of his mouth, because he was impressed by Grandma's confusing words. That's what Grandma taught you. Okay, don't cry. Grandma Tang comforted Chi Yuking by touching her head. Chairman Kai's expression was ugly. When he saw his daughter crying, he stood up from his seat angrily. Chairman Tang, what do you mean by this? Are you calling us here to dissolve the marriage today? Grandma Tang picked up a piece of information from the desk and handed it to Chairman Chi while explaining. I know I have delayed Yu Qing for so many years, and I am very sorry. Here is a piece of land that your Chi group has always wanted to get. From today on, it belongs to your Chi family. This is my apology for this matter. Chairman Chi looked at the contract handed over by Grandma Tang in shock. He naturally knew what the land was. It was the land they failed to bid for 6 months ago. The land was worth 500 million. This land not only represents 500 million, it also represents a huge asset. The location is in a prosperous area. If a shopping mall or carnival park is built on it, it will bring profits of more than 1 billion yuan to the Chi Group, or even more. It was a long time since the Chi Group failed to strive for it. Seeing the contract, he was a little uneasy, and his rising anger dropped sharply at this moment. A marriage contract in exchange for land worth more than 1 billion is a very good deal from a businessman's perspective. But in the long run, it is difficult for him to take over. If he becomes an in-law with the Tang dynasty group, the wealth he will bring is limitless. Although he has always disliked Tang Yuj, it does not mean that he does not accept this marriage contract. What he values more is the benefits brought by the Tang dynasty group. But the Tang dynasty family wanted to break off the engagement, and it was difficult for him to accept or not to accept it, because he preferred not to break off the engagement. Chi Yuking looked at the contract. Although she didn't understand its benefits, she knew from her father's expression that he really wanted it. No, she doesn't want it. Even if there are hundreds of such contracts, she won't terminate the engagement. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 219. Chapter 219. I don't want to break the engagement for. Chi Mataharu stood up, rushed over, grabbed the contract and threw it on the ground. Grandma Tang, I don't want to break off the engagement. I want to be your granddaughter-in-law. I don't want other men. I just want Brother Yu. I have liked Brother Yu since I was a child. I will not marry anyone other than Brother Yu. Chi Yuking cried, unable to do anything anymore. Calm down. She is about to break off her engagement with Brother Yu, and she has dreamed of marrying Brother Yu since she was a child, which is hard for her to accept. Ming had been looking forward to coming over to discuss marriage before, and she was finally going to marry Brother Yu. She had been waiting for 5 years to get Brother Yu back from abroad. He had only been back for a month and was about to break off the engagement with her. Thinking of not being able to marry Tang Yuj, Chi Yuking's heart clenched in pain, her body trembled uncontrollably, and her tears fell crazily. Even so, she still tried hard to control her emotions and cried so hard that it was endearing. Tang Yuj squatted down and picked up the contract on the ground, and spoke with a serious expression. "You are still young. You should see more of the colorful world outside, get to know more people, and give yourself more choices." Chi Yuking shook her head quickly and looked at the contract in his hand, like a beast that dared not touch it. She backed up slightly, not wanting to see it. It seems that if they don't see it, they won't break off the engagement. "I don't want to break off the engagement, I don't want it, I don't want it." Chi Yuking couldn't bear it anymore and turned and ran away, crying. She doesn't want to get rid of it. She wants to marry Brother Yu. It's clear that happiness is right in front of her and she's about to touch it. Why does she suddenly fly away? She ran aimlessly, her world collapsed, and she fell from the paradise of happiness at this moment, leaving her body bruised and bruised. Her heart ached so much that she was about to faint at any time, and her eyes were filled with darkness. She didn't know what to do, she didn't know how to prevent her heart from continuing to hurt, and she couldn't find where happiness lies. Tang Yuj watched Chi Yuking run away, put the contract on the table, and took a deep look at his grandma. "I'll go find Yuking and make it clear." He put down the contract and turned to leave. Grandma Tang sighed regretfully, knowing it would be like this. Seeing Chi Yuking's collapsed appearance, she felt extremely distressed. Chairman Chi looked at the contract on the table with a gloomy expression. "Chairman Tang, you came to ask me to entrust you with your daughter's marriage. Why do you want to cancel it today?" Grandma Tang still looked serious. "This engagement was made 11 years ago. The children have grown up. Children in this era have long disliked their parents ordering matchmakers, so let them handle it on their own. When the two families just made this engagement, the Tang dynasty group and the Qi group were still on equal footing. 11 years can change many people and things. Within a few years, the Tang dynasty group became the 10th richest family in the world. The Chao group has also become the 19th largest group in the world, and the Qi group has taken a step back and has long been unable to match them. Looking at it, there are not many people who can match their descendants, so there is no compulsory marriage for them, and there is no need to use marriage to consolidate their status. That is why Qi Lilii, who has an ordinary background, can marry into rich family. When she made this marriage contract for her eldest grandson, she wanted to consolidate his status in the Tang family. She had left the Tang family for 10 years since she was a child. When he just came back, he was unsteady on his feet. She was afraid that he would be bullied before marrying him. Got a backer. Originally, she did not want to terminate the engagement. After all, she had watched Chi Yuking grow up and was very satisfied with her future grandson-in-law. Ranked 15th in the recommendation vote. Long live. My concubines are so awesome, I fall in love with you, keep it up, there will be 4 updates in the next month, keep it up. Mom. One more update. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 220. Chapter 220. I don't want to break off the engagement. 5. It happened that Tang Yuj found a wife for himself outside, so he had to break off the engagement and come up with a heartwarming apology. Only the Tang dynasty group could be so generous. Chairman Qi looked at the contract on the table and sighed deeply. I cannot accept this contract for the time being. You can also see how sad my daughter is. She really wants to marry into your Tang dynasty family. Grandma Tang had a serious face and frowned slightly. Fei Chen already has a fiancé, and Xingai is still so young. If your daughter is willing to marry, we will happily agree. Chairman Kai's mouth twitched slightly when Grandma Tang said that. Chairman Tang was indeed the best at misinterpreting the meaning of their words. He meant that he wanted to marry Tang Yuj, not that he didn't want Tang Yuj to choose other young masters of the Tang family. Chi Yuking ran quickly and finally reached Tang Yuj's room. Although Tang Yuj kept refusing to let her come, she couldn't help but go in. It was full of the smell of Brother Yu, and it was Brother Yu's room. She was so sad at this moment that she couldn't care less about Brother Yu's warning, so she quickly opened the door and walked in. Qian Yuman, who was resting in Tang Yuj's room and waiting for him to come back, heard sobbing outside and immediately jumped out of bed. When she heard the doorknob turning, she immediately knew that someone was coming in, and it was not Tang Yuj. She immediately jumped up from the bed and looked around. The door opened. It was too late. She had no choice but to lie on the ground and roll under the bed, using the height of the bed to hide herself. Chi Yuking walked into Tang Yuj's room and saw the furnishings in the room. She became even more sad when she thought of breaking up her marriage with Brother Yu. Qian Yuman turned her eyes and heard the woman's cry, already guessing what happened. It must be that Tang Yuj wanted to dissolve his marriage with Chi Yuking. She couldn't accept it for a while, and ran to Tang Yuj's room in sadness. Qian Yuman has no unnecessary mercy. Although it was because of her that they dissolved their marriage, after all, she was also the one who was concealed and deceived. It's not that Tang Yuj wasn't honest enough at the beginning, she can't even meet her husband's family officially now, just like Tang Yuj's hidden lover. But she can't blame Tang Yuj entirely. Their original marriage was also because she needed 1 million and he happened to have 1 million. Without much thought at the time, he foolishly tricked them into entering the registration office and they became husband and wife. After getting married, she found out how rich he was, how terrifying his background was, and even his personality was disguised for her to see. The only thing wrong with Tang Yuj is that he is not honest enough. As for why he did this, she still doesn't understand. Is it just to trick her into marrying him? In my impression, Tang Yuj's good friend Ji Fan said that he had been secretly in love with her for a long time, and perhaps that was why he concealed his true identity and married her. It seems that she wants to find a time to ask why he helped her in the first place and why he married her as his wife. Not long after Chi Yuking ran in, Tang Yuj chased after him. He raised his eyebrows slightly and scanned the room. Where is the wife? Hiding. What a petty thief. Yuking, don't cry. Tang Yuj handed over the handkerchief, but Chi Yuking threw it away. She bit her red lips tightly and looked at Tang Yuj sadly. Brother Yu, why are you so bad? Why do you want to break off the engagement with me, and Yuking likes you so much, why do you want to hurt me? End of this chapter.